we talked about this Buddha in the center between us.
Yes.
And it was without all this gold. And we were the first ones, one of the first ones to actually gild the gold on it. And look at it today. It's just a week, right? Because we talked about it last week.
Yes.
And they were allowed to start doing it on Thursday. I hope you have gilt your gold, 24K gold. And look at it.
Amazing. Really amazing. And how beautiful the statue looks.
We have this saying in Chinese that a Buddha would, 佛靠金装, that a Buddha would need a layer of golden clothing.
Yes.
And it was in bronze, it's antique. A lot of people do come and ask, oh, what is it made of? I say, if you watch the show, as you should have, then it's bronze, super heavy, 4 men to actually lift it up. But now, just less than a week, it's full of gold. And we can imagine that for the weeks to come and for the days to come, it's going to be even more. So this is something. We are really, in this museum in Lotus show, we are really somehow using these antiques and making them come alive and be connected with today's world again, be connected with you. So it means something to you. It's not just an antique piece that's sitting behind the glass, far, far away in the museums when you cannot interact with it. But because of this, you interact with it, you interact with this antique that's from a bygone age, an area where the nation doesn't exist anymore.
It doesn't, Lana.
Yes, and because of this, you also get the blessings as they can come here and take a look at this. We even did this signage for them.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, this is what we talked about that day. So do come. Everyone has 2 pieces per day for this. Stunning.
But many people must have come because you started on Thursday.
Yes,
so if you see how much has been covered,
correct.
I just think lots of people.
Correct. And I heard that some came and said that, oh, yesterday I came, I did it on the head and the face. Today I'm going to do it on the, I'm going to do it on the stomach and the legs. So different parts to go for every single day. And there's no stopping, there is no expiry date so far. So pay attention to our shows. Maybe we'll have, not too sure. Okay, so friends who are here who have not actually gilded your gold yet, please come by. Okay, you see it looks wonderful on the camera actually. It's reflecting the light. And something that is correlated.
Yes.
I find that every single time on Tuesday when we do this show, there's always a new thing that's happening. Today, actually, we start the Sakura season. And if you come to the galleries, you would see that actually right behind you, there's a Sakura tree over there. This is a real Sakura tree. Okay, we previously we had the peach blossom for the Chinese New Year. So now actually in Japan it's during the Sakura season. So that's amazing. You can't exactly fly to Japan, but you can have the Sakura over here.
You brought Japan here?
I brought Japan. We bring Japan over here. We bring Japan with these plants, and actually we bring Japan to Singapore with a lot of the antiques that we talked about as well.
Very good.
Meiji period, the Edo period, right?
Very
actually,
special.
You can get to experience Japan over here. It's amazing. And on top of that, I understand that in this, so many announcements. I'm so sorry. Laurent Perret is always the sponsor for Master Art, and that's why during Museum in Lotus, we are always cheers to Laurent Perret champagne.
Yes.
Cheers. But today we have something more. Since it's the Sakura season, since the Sakura season, we've also prepared only for this season that if they are VIPs and they come to the gallery, they can get to enjoy sake as well. And this is no ordinary sake. So I'm taking out direct from the bottle to show you what's going on. First, I really love the packaging because it's like really solid gold. Everything is gold. Master's painting is gold. Everything is gold, yeah. Gold is forever, yeah. Now this is special also because this one has gold flakes in it.
Gold flakes?
Yes, this has gold flakes. Let me just put this aside.
Oh, I can see at the bottom. Yes, yeah. Now I can see it. Now that you tell me.
Take out this. So if you are Lotus VIP and you come to the Lotus Gallery, well, you can have the red wine for sure, but you also can choose to have the sake. And this has the gold flakes in it. If you can see whether you can take a closer look.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. You want to swirl, you want to give the bottle a little swirl before you pour it into your glass. Can you see it? The things that are floating around, those are the gold. Gold flakes.
Everything talks about gold.
You lay your eyes on mastering painting, that's visually gold. You gild the gold on the Buddha, that's spiritually gold.
Yes.
And now you also have a chance to actually ingest a little bit of gold in the Lotus on Water galleries. Yeah, I mean, what better way to actually experience prosperity and elegance? And therefore, 2 more glasses for the sake. How's your alcohol tolerance? Are you okay?
Can I say, yes,
Yeah.
I can take it, and I will take it. I'm very curious about this.
I'm opening a new bottle for you, yeah.
The sparkles that
Is
I
it?
see
Can you see it?
inside.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything
So
of
after you
this type.
swirl, then you can pour. Because if
Yes.
not, the gold will be sedimented, yeah.
Yes.
Right, you see?
Oh,
gold
yes,
flakes.
yes.
I'll just have a little. Right, there we have.
Fantastic.
Choose your
Very
poison.
nice.
Yeah. Don't go too fierce. Yeah. But they say if you mix the alcohol, it'd be quite deadly for you. I'm not too sure about it. Yeah. But today we are very happy because I shared the post. So if you haven't liked and shared, please do, because we know that Mr. Giuseppe De Giusa is going to run us through the details of precious antiques that are not for sale, Master's collections that are really worthy to enjoy. When they came over here to gild the gold, then they start asking a lot of questions about the other Buddhas. They are all connected, and the whole place now feels so spiritual and so prosperous. And of course, through these antiques, hopefully, we get to understand a different perspective of Master's arts. And I think today we have a great experience in doing so. A lot of us have already seen how Master's end product, the painting, is like. Do you remember there was one painting behind me yesterday, last week?
Yes.
That piece got sold.
Oh,
That piece got sold. So
wonderful.
today I've replaced another piece. This is the one, there's a gown of prosperity.
Yes.
And behind you is the strokes of romance. Now, we might be or might not be familiar with these paintings, but these are the ones that Master has painted. A lot of people have been asking, how does Master paint? What's the scenario like when he paints? I think today, the precious antique collections that we're going to go through would give us a glimpse of how the scenario is like. Am I right?
I think it would be splendid to know a little bit more about what Master Yun does when he paints,
Yes.
and what are his inspirations, moments, and because I'm
Absolutely.
sure he doesn't do it every day. He will only do it when there's something special happening to him, and when he gets that little sparkle that would say, now I want to do it.
Probably. And the items we're going to go to, the antiques we're going to go through today would give us a bridge to that,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So you see we have actually changed a table. It used to be the narrow one, which used to be a Qing Dynasty altar table, which a lot of y'all love. Now I've changed it to a red table that is much wider, a bit longer, without the curves at the end. What's with this table? What must we know about this table?
First of all, this table was meant for artists to paint. And
That
theref-
connects with what we're going to talk about today.
Absolutely, yes.
So this was an artist table.
Artist table. And I can imagine the roll of paper, rice paper, which would be layered on this table. There would be 2 segments which would block the roll of silk or rice paper to basically roll, and therefore you can't paint. But then by blocking on both sides, and usually this is done by pieces of very heavy wood, mostly carved, then the artist would start and paint.
So the width of the table would explain that you have those long scrolls of paper, that this is where they will unscrew it because you can take the entire depth on the width of the table. And at the ends, you might be familiar because we have seen Master when he paint before, those
Yes.
long sticks of wood.
Correct.
We call it 指正 actually. So it will be pressing on the paper on one side, so he starts writing and painting on this side and onwards. Am I
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
This is a very special table for the purpose. It's also very inspirational, in my opinion, for the artist. And this will enhance the art endeavors of the artist.
Okay.
So it's all about talking about art tonight. the art of gilding,
Yes.
the art of Master Yun, and now what is a proper table for artists. What is special about this table? First of all is the lacquer. When we look at this lacquer, it's red, very difficult to find.
Yes.
The period we would be talking about Qing dynasty, which would possibly be the end of the 18th, early 19th century.
Okay. End of the 18th, early 19th
Correct.
century. It's
Correct.
about 100 plus years.
More than that.
Oh, more than, might be
More
even
than
close to
200.
200, you know? Yeah.
It would be between, in my opinion, 1780,
Okay.
1780
yeah.
with 1820. That would be the sort of range of time when this was made. Where was this made? Interestingly enough, it was made in Shaanxi. I might not pronounce it correctly. And this is a region, actually a province in China, which is in the northern part, should not be confused, if I may, with another province which borders Shaanxi, which is again called Shaanxi with two A.
One is Shanxi, the other is Shanxi.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there are two
One
provinces.
is more to the west, yeah.
Yes. The capital city is Taiyuan.
Taiyuan, yeah.
Sorry about the pronunciation.
that's
so that
Shanxi,
you know
yeah.
exactly which particular region, province this table comes from. And it was definitely built here. Again, exceptional. The red, this is a red cinnabar color, difficult to find, in very, very good condition. And let me just highlight few points with, look at the front.
Right.
Okay, first of all, when you look at the top, we have this frame all around. This frame is actually made out of wood planks,
Okay.
inset. So this would be not only solid, but would give the structure a strong and firmness, so that anything also very heavy could be placed on this table.
I see. It can take weight.
It can
That means
take
it
the
can
weight.
take the weight,
It can
yeah.
take the weight.
Okay.
Not that it was necessary, but you never know. You can have this table being used for a little while for something else.
Right.
Now, when you look at the front, we see this beautiful frame
Yes.
going downwards. And when you look at this detail, you see that there would be this carving all along. Extremely beautiful. And this, they go all along. But the front part is interesting, because you would see that these are sort of little legs, I would define them. And they're actually four. Two on one side, two on the opposite side. And these little legs would be on top of the legs. So they're
Right.
almost coming out. So that makes me think, what was the purpose of those legs? In my modest opinion, that would serve to possibly separate the legs with the top.
So it was mounted on it.
It was mounted. And of
It's
course,
a few pieces of hardwood
yes,
Legoed together.
Lego together.
So it's a few pieces of hardwood Legoed together, and therefore we have this huge drawing table,
Yes,
painting table that is from the Qing dynasty. That might be 200-300 years ago.
yes, definitely. And therefore, this could also have been used as a table, a shorter table. The use, yes. Now, when we look at this table, we just go to the legs, the long legs. Very simple. They're sort of a squarish, rectangular legs, long legs. You see fluting on the legs, very simple carved flutings. Very simple and again, very beautiful.
Yes.
And if you look at the sides, we would have the stretchers.
Yes.
And the stretchers are very similar to the legs. Every single detail has been considered. And the workmanship is fantastic. In terms of how it's been put together, it's what we have been calling for a long time the Lego attachment
yes.
technique, which is the so-called the mortise and tenon.
Yeah.
So that's the way it's been fabricated. What is it made of? Okay, if I see some little parts which have lost the lacquer, I recognize that this is elm wood.
Right.
Elm wood. There are some parts instead which have been completely oxidized because of the use and maybe a little bit of the color of the time, and they're dark and you can't actually see. But if you go to the bottom of the legs are somewhat consumed. And one would raise the question, why? Because possibly this table has been stored in a place where there was dampness,
Okay.
or there were other factors that have consumed the very bottom of the four legs.
Flooding. Probably was flooding, and it was soaking water for a while.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it might be a possibility, yeah. But
Because
it speaks of the age. And it speaks
Yes.
of the 200-300 years, what he has gone through.
Yes.
And for sure, what we know is that since its structure and its formation, there were people who wrote calligraphies and painted paintings on this table. So
Absolutely,
this
yes.
table has witnessed or actually bear responsibility or bear the burden of a lot of artistic creations.
Yes.
And I don't think it's a simple study desk, because a study desk might have, if by Qing Dynasty, study desk might have a little bit more drawers here and there.
Yes.
But this is
Very
what we call a
simple.
画工桌子. That means it's for to write calligraphies and painting.
Yes.
So a lot of people, they ask, when they look at some of the paintings that Master Yun do, the sheer magnitude and the size of it, they did ask, oh, how did he and where does he paint all these paintings? For sure, for that to happen, he would have a equivalent or even bigger painting table than this.
Yes.
At where he paints, where he stays, Marina Bay residences. So that table that Master Yun is using, probably 200-300 years later, would become likewise an precious antique, as what we are seeing here, this table over here.
Please do come, take a look, admire it as I am admiring this wonderful table. Look at the crackling that we see. And again, this is the reaction for over 220, 230, if not more years, which basically tell you about the history of a wonderful antique red cinnabar lacquered table.
Right. So we are going to replace this table and place it in this gallery where the Qing altar table used to be. And henceforth, Master Yun would be putting the seals,
Yes.
pressing the seals and writing your names on the Heart Sutra album, if you remember, on this very table, this table of creation, because this table was all about art, creativity anyway.
Yes.
So I'm not sure whether Master Yun would have a chance to actually paint his next collection on this table, but for sure your Heart Sutra stamps, the next batch that he's going to do will be on this Saturday. So if you want your album to be pressed, the stamp, sealed by Master Yun, you got to make your purchases and have your friends buy from now onwards. So this Saturday, your Heart Sutra album will be the first to be pressed, to be sealed on this table of artistic creation.
An artist putting on the album the seals, of the sutra seals, which is a fantastic occasion to come
On an artistic table, yeah.
and basically see what Master Yun is doing.
Yes, absolutely. So I don't think we know who was using that table back then.
I think it's almost impossible.
I think we do not know what they painted on the table. But Chinese, we tend to paint things that are more auspicious. That's in the blood or Chinese DNA. Hardly, because Western art, they went through several different ages. Some ages like existentialism or surrealism or modernism, they tend to paint things that are a bit darker, right? But throughout the ages, Chinese have painted things that are either more serene, mountain and water,
Mountain and water.
or
yes.
things like they're more prosperous. Peonies, peacocks are standard. Peacocks and cranes are always standard. So it's just that what Master Yun did on his table of creativity, he modernized it. or he reimagined the peacocks. That we all know, that you know for sure. This gown of prosperity, we talked about it
Yes.
before. You know, it's a great match that because we are dressed in tuxedo,
Yes.
that we look at this gown of prosperity, I think we are matching at least. The one that's behind you have not seen before yet. It's called the Strokes of Romance.
Beautiful.
Once again, I have no idea why, but these two, similarly, the peacocks on the top,
Yes.
as you can see. Once again, looking at the whole gown,
Yes.
feathers, gold and silver, so much gold, really fits in the whole environment here. This looks a bit like a Christmas tree, if you look at it.
I just find it
I tell you, if it looks
so
like
beautiful.
Yeah, if it looks like a Christmas tree, you can't unsee it. Yeah, and the two pink ribbons,
Yes.
they feel like those you know, the sash around the Christmas tree.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so
yes.
it has that celebration feel because Christmas is the time that everyone celebrates. Yeah,
And how audacious the colors are.
The
And
contrast,
still,
huh?
There's such a beautiful balance,
Yeah.
isn't there?
yes, the contrast is somewhat similar to what we are doing today again, because if you look at the background, it's predominantly blue, and then you have those two pink sashes. They come along.
Yes.
Take a look at the color of the table and this blue the box here.
Absolutely. I mean, you've been able to draw, you know, the
You see the colors? You
Yes.
see the colors here?
yes.
The contrast of the blue and the daring pink, the contrast of this red, which is, as Mr. Pino has mentioned, that is a hard to come by red. And I think it might have belonged to someone important. And
Of course.
okay, first, it definitely belongs to someone important, because if you're not important, most probably you will not be painting. Or most probably you will not be writing. Or most probably you will not have the luxury to have an extra table of this quality, of this workmanship at your home for painting, solely for painting and calligraphy purposes, because it'll be quite a waste, right? Yeah. You will just have bought an IKEA table for everything.
Wealthy
Yeah.
artist, I would say, or coming from a very wealthy or well-to-do family.
Yes. Jenny says that it seems like quite a big table. It is, you know. I just want to show you how big it is. The altar table was until here. Okay. Can I have a Heart Sutra? Can you just pass me some Heart Sutras? Yeah, thanks. Possible? Yeah. I just want to show how the length. We remember the altar table. It was just nice. You can place one Heart Sutra on it. One. This one,
Yes.
you can place about two of it. It's twice the size of the altar table.
Yes, yes. The width is double, I
Yeah,
would say
twice,
so.
for sure. So you will see this in the upcoming Saturday when Master Yuen presses seals on it. Then you'll see how wide it is. It's actually definitely wide because it has to accommodate the whole calligraphy scroll, the width of it. So that's wide. And one more thing is that it just came to my mind that this table would have belonged to a wealthy or official family. There is a saying, there is a phrase in Chinese.
Yes.
We never rehearsed this, it just came to my mind. We know that yellow was if it's Qing Dynasty, yellow was the imperial color,
Yes.
royal color, right?
Yes.
And the second color, second or third colors might be purple. Purple has always been the status of royalties. And red is an important color as well. There's a poem in Chinese that talks about 朱门. 朱门, that means that they're talking about the door, literally it means that the door is red.
Yes.
It means people who are wealthy, people who are official. So 朱门, it means like that. But this word 朱 means red. So it can mean that this is a red household.
Right.
So they don't easily use colors because it's supposed to represent a certain status back then. People are very following protocols quite tightly then. So you have a table that you have to spend extra effort and money to make it red, full lacquer red. It would mean that, you know, it's a different status.
They could have left the table
Yeah.
without the lacquer.
They could have 100% left the
They
table.
have gone to the extent, again, it's about inspiring the artist
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
create beautiful work.
Absolutely. So this is something. That means that when Master Yuen is going to press the seals or write on the names on the seals on this table, this is no ordinary table. This is, number one, a 200-300 years table. Second, this is a table of artistic creation. And third, it must have belonged to someone who is important or
Prosperous.
wealthy enough.
Yes, absolutely. I agree.
Right?
Agreed.
So this is really something. Now, we have friends who are here, Vincent E, NC, Vicky, who are here. As I was saying, we're going to put this table in this VIP gallery, replacing it with the art table. We're going to shift the art table somewhere else. And you can come here and really feel it. And please be gentle because there are a bit of the lacquer that's falling apart, but that's the passage of time. Yeah.
Passage of time.
Passage of time. Come and see it and feel it yourself that this is the table that was full of creativity, genius involved, right? And as I was saying, that it's such a great contrast with the painting that we have here today. Strikes a good and daring contrast of this little blue box that has been sitting right here since the starting of the show.
Yes.
And this is something we're going to talk about today as well.
Yes.
Is that right?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, it's not about the box, right? It's about the content of the box, am I right? Yeah.
I think it has to be a big surprise what's inside.
Okay, so we're talking about something that's extremely big, as Jenny has mentioned, an extremely big table. We're also talking about something extremely delicate and petite over here.
Yes.
All right, I'm interested.
Shall
I'm
we
prepared,
open it?
yeah.
Shall we open it? Now.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Okay. Shall I take it out?
Please do that.
Okay.
Please,
I'm
please.
going to take it out. And where should I place it here first?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. And the feel is entirely different. This is extremely delicate. It feels extremely delicate. Small, but extremely refined. The small little things here, that a lot of details that I'm not sure they can see it, but you might only be able to see it if you come up close to what's going on. Probably, viewers, you can make a guess. What is this? I think for us, it should be quite obvious what it is. I'm just keen to listen to the different details that's about this piece because the whole texture, the whole piece just looks extremely refined. Does anyone know what this is? It looks really, really beautiful.
Very, very beautiful. Very beautiful. And it's just like a diamond, precious. It's a gem. That's the best explanation that I can give about a small piece like this. First of all, it's Japanese.
It's Japanese.
This is Japanese.
We have gone from Chinese, Qing Dynasty, to Japanese.
And we've mentioned that the Meiji period goes from 1868 to 1912.
Right.
So you can actually appreciate the value of a piece like this, which is in immaculate condition. Immaculate.
Meiji period.
Meiji period.
Meiji period. We are familiar with the Meiji period. We have eaten a lot of chocolates in the Meiji period as well.
Yes.
So we have a table from Qing Dynasty, and we have this pot, this incense burner.
It's an incense burner. Very, very good. It's an incense burner or a censer.
Oh, as in sense, how to spell it?
C-E-N-S-E-R.
Okay, censer. Or an incense burner.
Incense burner.
That's on the Meiji period. Because Chinese might be familiar with something like that. Because we are still using things like that now. But this is no ordinary censer or incense burner. This is an antique from the Meiji period.
Now, let me tell you something so beautiful, which I like to call again a gem, belonged to an extremely wealthy family. And this was only used for exceptional, important occasions and for tea ceremonies.
They liked incense during tea ceremonies.
Yes, they do have it. Now, when we look at it, it's one piece, but it's actually made up by two parts. And that is the body.
Right.
And the body is actually porcelain. And it's called celadon. And we'll get to explain what the word celadon means.
This is of porcelain.
porcelain.
And this is of Celadon, you mean?
It's called Celadon. Now, interesting enough, just to give you a better understanding of Celadon, anything that during the Meiji period was created with a green color and all its shades, and then it would be glossed, would be called Celadon.
I see.
And this is basically jade color.
You are right, yes.
Jade color. So very special. Now, when you look at the body, I mean, this is quintessential simplicity. It has this bulb body.
Right.
And it ends up with 3 elevated feet, which are protruding. It has nothing. It doesn't have any arms. It's just simple. You can't have anything simpler than that.
Right. This is Japan, Meiji period. From my limited knowledge, if I'm right, this piece, it's a great connection to what we are having today. Because this color, Celadon, and this shape and this symbol came from Tang and Song dynasty. In Song dynasty, there was this, the height of the porcelain, one of the things that made Europe lost half of its silver, they have this thing called green porcelain.
Yes.
I'm not sure whether it's a correct translation, but in Chinese they call it 青瓷. So it's a direct translation. It might be bluish porcelain or it might be green porcelain, but it's that color.
This color here.
And we know that Song and Tang always have a lot of interactions. The greater China influence circle that affected the Japanese, which we talked about during many of our episodes. That this technique, other than the what they call this, the sunken Japanese gold paper technique that went over to Japan, this also went over. And of course, Japanese, as obsession with perfection as they are, has refined it. By the time it's Meiji period, they came out with something like this. And the 3-legged stand, in Chinese, it's called a ting. That Chinese are obsessed with number 3, because number 3 will give them everything, they believe. Yes.
But you know, when I see the balance and I see the perfection of the body, and then on top, we would see this wonderful detachable lid, and this detachable lid is made out of silver.
This is silver?
This is silver.
My
this is
goodness.
pure silver. Now, when we look in detail, and we can only look at with the magnifying glass, the silversmith wanted to create a design which resembled a basket.
Yes.
And as you see it, again, with the magnifying glass, you would see that each section is hexagonal.
Yes.
And extremely beautiful, extremely detailed. In those days, just to let you know, that we don't see on this particular piece any character, anywhere. No character, which would basically reflect the name of the master who created the base. Neither would see any silver hallmark on the silver. Where would all of this be? It would be on the container, the wood container.
The box.
The box, which unfortunately for this particular items, we don't have.
I see.
But it's not unusual. This is very, very usual. Now, when you consider the 2 pieces put together with no chips, no airline, nothing to the body, I believe it's quite exceptional.
It is
and
exceptional.
Extremely rare. Even the inside, they could have avoided to color and could have avoided to do the glossy. You're
I
right.
had a natural instinct to actually
Can I
want
tell
to-
you, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, and I think it's safe to do it here and not as I did it.
No,
You're
because
perfectly
it's
right.
so precious.
It is very,
It's,
very
yeah.
precious, very precious. And you consider when the family that owned this piece used it for very, very special occasions.
I can see, because if you tell me that it's silver, I can understand that, you know, you can only see it up close, because in Chinese we call it you have to wan, you have to play with it in a sense.
Yes.
But to enjoy it, that the center part here, it's more used in a sense that I can imagine that they were doing the incense thing, and obviously if it was silver, it's supposed to tarnish throughout. This part is the one that is so-called most tarnished.
Yes.
Because this is the
top.
part that actually, you know, when the incense,
The smoke.
smoke comes along, this is the part that gets it the most.
Yes.
So this has definitely been used, a used item.
Yes.
And as you're mentioning, for the tea ceremony and so on. I find it fascinating and connecting with today's topic, because we said that we're going to experience how Master Yun actually paints when he's at his own home. First, he needs to have a huge table, that we know. Second, what I know also is that Master Yun also likes incense when he's painting. Because I think you make a good point just now, that does he paint regularly? I think he does, but in order to have the discipline, he does like an inspiration. He does like incense to jot that inspiration there a little bit. And of course, the incense that we burn would give that good fortune and good blessing as well. Hopefully it goes into the painting and the calligraphy. So I think today do we have the chance to actually use this artifact a little bit to relieve to revitalize and reimagine the old days?
Would you do that?
With my limited knowledge on how the art of incense, in Japan, everything is about art.
Everything is about art. You're
Tea
absolutely
making.
right.
By the time you went to Japan, it became the Tao of tea. You know, and then what do we have? Flower arrangement. It became a Tao as well. So incense as well. This culture of incense, of course, is starting in Tang and Song dynasty once again. So I think they took the whole thing there and they perfect it to that height. And that was in Meiji period. Any other characteristics we must look at before we actually try to use this?
A couple of things that I would like to mention, which I forgot, and I apologize. This is actually called in Japanese koro. This is the technical word that the Japanese would use to identify an incense burner or censer. Koro.
Right.
Koro.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, where do the Japanese, and when were the Japanese got exposed to incense burning? Who brought the incense to Japan?
Was it not the monks who went to China and went back to Japan?
You're absolutely right.
Am I? Is the guess correct?
This 6th century, China brought the
Tang dynasty. That's 6th century. That's Tang dynasty.
6th century, China brought to Japan the incense.
Right.
And the Japanese went completely crazy about the incense.
For a moment, you asked me, and it felt like a school examination question. I was
so
like,
sorry.
I was like rehashing all my knowledge here.
But you know, you responded perfectly.
Okay,
Now,
so we were correct, yeah.
you are absolutely correct, but you are knowledgeable, so I didn't have any doubt about you're correct, and this was not prepared, I must say. Now, what else is exceptional? It's exceptional because when it was adopted, the incense was mostly used for various, what we call, or what they call, classical Japanese arts inspirations.
Which means they will be lighting it during tea ceremonies, which
Correct.
means they can be lighting it during flower arrangement ceremonies.
You are absolutely right. You might have read this.
No, I did not. No, I get that from you. No, which means that they would also be like mastering. They would have lighted it when they might have been painting, and they might have been doing calligraphies. And we can also imagine that the Qing Dynasty table guy, that the people who are using this Qing Dynasty drawing table, they might also have been using incense as well.
Absolutely. So the three most important Japanese art representation were about the incense, art arrangement, tea, and tea ceremonies.
All right, there we have it.
This is the highest level of art that still in the culture of Japanese is very much strong.
I see.
Very much strong.
I see. Makes all sense to drink sake today then.
It does.
I should have a little bit.
What else was it used for? Meditation?
Oh, yes.
Now, again, for spiritual achievement, and this would be done through prayers,
Yes.
ceremonies, and it would be done to just elevate the spirit. But let me tell you something else which I found extremely interesting. The art that I've mentioned about incense, smelling the incense, being able to differentiate the smell, being able to distinguish, it's called kodo.
Kodo.
Kodo,
Do is Tao. Ko is the way.
yes,
Ko is xiang,
yes,
incense.
yes.
The Tao of incense.
This is the way to incense. Now, look what used to happen in those days.
Okay.
In those days, the Japanese went completely crazy about being able to distinguish the smell.
Yes.
So in the courts, amongst aristocratic and noble people, they would actually start competition, and they would even bet their fortune in order to make sure that the person who would be able to single out the smell, he would win. And this what used to happen. This is all about kodo.
We have to come back to this because there's a huge topic about this. You just sparked off a certain chapter that's lying here in my brain that speaks to this chapter. The Japanese, when they went, you're right, the Japanese went crazy over this incense thing, and they're the first to in the whole Asia to establish systems because they have to compete and so on. If I'm right, they started it in the Edo period and even before that. So by the time it was Meiji period, it was perfection. We got to come back to this thing.
But even these days, you go to Japan and you see this wonderful stick of incense, which is incredible.
We know that if you come to the gallery, we have those, we showed before, those round incense. Compared to what I'm going to show you how they did it before,
Yes.
I have brief knowledge of how they did it before. It's a very tedious process. You would find that what you do in the gallery, you take a piece of incense and you light it with a lighter, and then you just pray, or you just put it there and you light for about 1 hour and 1 hour and a half. You will find that is, oh my God, that is such an instant noodle. I'm not talking about the quality. The quality is great. It's just that you find that it's so simple and so fitted for modern days. But if I'm right, back in the olden days, Edo period all the way to Meiji period, they have something like this. It's a piece of art, and when they're going to light it, it's a tedious process. It's a tedious process. It's a tedious process. We can show.
Yes.
We can use, right? Yeah. We want our antiques to
not?
come alive and be applicable to our modern age.
Yes.
Luckily, we use this table because I need a lot of space for this thing. Yeah. I feel like I'm going to cook. Yeah, but welcome to my cooking program. I'm Chef Khan. Yeah. Okay, let me just give me a bit more space. I think it might be safer if I put it here.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. So what I know, I've prepared the ingredients for today's cooking show. I'm going to use a wood. So I've prepared this. This is raw sandalwood. This is raw sandalwood. It's oxidized a bit, but you know what they would do in the past is that they would like cut it off,
Yes.
but bit by bit, and then they will accumulate it, and then maybe they grind the powder. And because we have a limited time on today's cooking show, we have already ground it into powder. So this is the raw stuff. Okay, just so you know. Anyway, all your sandalwood pendants came from the raw stuff. That you already know. I won't repeat that. So this is the powdered form of the sandalwood. You can take a. It's,
Fantastic.
this is 100% natural raw sandalwood powder. Okay, you just imagine it that the raw sauce that you saw, with ground into powder, it will be something like that.
Amazing.
Okay.
Amazing. Saffron color.
Yes, and too bad you can't whiff it, but because it's extremely, extremely fragrant. What they did in the past is actually a very tedious process. If I am right, what they would do first, okay, so this is the incense burner that we have. Let me just try to be a bit more proper, because we've been so used to just taking a piece of instant incense that's all prepared and then you light it. You know, what they will do is that they will first in the bottom of this whole well, they will lay a layer of ash over there. So I'm just going to put some ash in it. Okay, put some ash so it forms the base. So you see.
What a privilege to see this. Oh, wow.
Because if you're in the museums, I suppose they'll be very afraid to actually use it. Second is, it's just very tedious, you know. You see, this is the base that has a bit of the, I'm not going to do the full thing, so if they're supposed to have the whole, everything that's going to prepare, you know, I'm sure they have the servants to prepare for this for them. You have the base, you can see a little bit, okay? I'm just going to put a little bit more. Okay, so that forms the base of the, you can see, okay, it shifts a little bit when I, okay, that forms the base. Okay, maybe some more. When you talked about the different art forms and they are definitely using the incense, I think across cultures, they are really talking about different things that can cross the senses as well. Yeah. Okay. A bit of the ash, you can see that. Can I add a bit more, maybe? Yep. Now that forms the base. Now, what they do after that is that they have charcoal.
Okay.
They have charcoal. And I've taken the liberty to actually break the charcoal into small parts. You can see that, yeah. And we're going to light the charcoal. We're going to put it on top of the ash.
Okay.
And then we're going to cover the charcoal, the burning charcoal,
Yes.
with another layer of ash.
Okay.
So you see how delicate and how tedious this is. If I do this, you know, half a day will be gone. So there we have small pieces of charcoal. Let's try with one small piece.
But isn't this the art of living?
Yes, absolutely. So as likewise when Martin paints, it's definitely a very tedious process as well. It's not a painting that he splashes color and it's done. There's layers and layers of it. There's one layer of charcoal, one layer of ash, one layer of charcoal, one layer of ash again, and then it goes, and all this are prepared beforehand. Imagine when it wasn't. Imagine when it wasn't. So when you come to the level that you can appreciate all this refineness, then you are really talking about the art of living. So this is a piece of charcoal. Let me try to light it a little bit. And you know, in the Chinese classics, Confucius
Yes.
has a saying. It's called 食不厌精. Oops. That means that no, you don't want to. You wouldn't mind if your food is more refined, and you should go all the way there to make sure it does. That your food is more refined. Okay, so it's be heated at the angles. What we want to do is that to make it hot. See,
Yes, yes, yes. I can see.
See that? And it starts to light up by itself. Okay, so when you see the charcoal is turning a bit white, a bit of smoke is coming off, it's hot enough. And what they do, thereafter, they will put this on top of the layer of ash that I just did, like that. Hope you can see it. It's all the way inside. Okay. Yeah, a little bit here and there. Okay, the ash is inside. And the burning charcoal. And now, while the charcoal is burning, they'll cover the charcoal with more ash. Because they don't want to directly burn away the sandalwood.
This is
powder.
a ceremony in its own right.
And you know, as you were saying, this might only be the accessory of the ceremony because they're supposed to do that flower arrangement. They're supposed to do that tea ceremony. So this is besides it. So we cover the charcoal until we don't see the charcoal anymore. And it's covered by ash, right? And let's see. Can you feel it? You can just put your hand over it.
Yes, I can.
Not hot,
Not
but
hot,
warm.
Warm.
Because if it's too hot, it will burn the sandalwood or the agarwood powder, and it will give you, you know, it will give you smoke, too much smoke, and this would warm it, and the essence of the sandalwood or agarwood can last much longer.
I see.
Can last much longer. Okay, so what they do is that they press a little bit and make sure there's a little platform there. So we are not using deep fried to fry the entire sandalwood powder. We are a bit like Chinese, they call it men. They have this like, it's slow cooking. Slow cooking. So all the juice of the entire sandalwood powder
What's
would
the
come
word?
out. Yeah, it's men.
Man.
That's slow cooking. Okay, so that we saw, this is the sandalwood powder. So the
wonderful
brevity
smell.
of
What a
matters.
wonderful smell.
Okay, you see, you can feel that it's warm. Yeah, it's warm, it's not hot. So what we do is that we're going to put a little bit on top of it. You see it?
Oh, the smoke is coming up.
See it? So then the smoke is coming out. And of course, look at it. With the filter, this in itself is an art. You see it?
I'm totally impressed. Totally.
You see it? I mean, even on the camera, you can see it. This is stunning. This is stunning.
Stunning. I mean, look at the direction that the smoke is taking. And it's all because, I believe, it's the basket that shape, design, that the silversmith was able to do.
Yes, correct. So if I have put more, then it will go on for half an hour and an hour. But now you inhale.
Ah.
Now you inhale. Right?
Oh.
This is
so
amazing.
Nice.
So
amazing.
it's such an art thing. I'm sure they will spend they have much more equipment than this. They will spend a much longer time to actually deal with this, and it's amazing, yeah.
Amazing. Amazing.
Part and parcel of Japanese life back then. Part and parcel, I think, of Chinese artists and elites' life back then. And also part and parcel of what Master Yun is doing every single day when he is painting. So when we come to look at the painting, once again, as we have traveled from China to Japan, from the table to incense burner, this thing is really amazing. You know, okay, because you see the charcoal is still burning. If I put more sandalwood powder on top, it will continue.
As soon as you put it immediately, the
You
smoke,
can imagine how hot it is,
the smoke
how warm it is. Yeah.
comes up.
And technically, even a more proper way, there should be a small little platform above the ash that is heated up by the charcoal. So this is what Martin has when he's painting all the time. We can actually understand that his form of art, just like I think what the other artists have experienced throughout the ages in different cultures, it's not just a visual form of art. There is this thing going on as well. There is an art of the sense.
Art of the sense.
Yes, art of the spirit as well, because this would affect the spirituality of the person. And that affects the way he draws.
Fantastic.
I'm glad we get to use this.
You really managed to dare.
Yeah, I managed to really use it in how they will actually do it. I'm sure when the ancient Japanese, when they did that, it was definitely much proper. So today is a much more instant way of showing how it's done.
Extremely beautiful.
Beautiful.
Extremely
I mentioned looking at this.
And what are the smell?
Yeah, absolutely. So when Martin is painting, this is the incense that he's lighting as well. So the canvas, the paint will also definitely be infused with this sandalwood and or agar wood essence as well. So what you are getting when you have one piece of Martin's art, it's just a luxury and a prosperous combination of senses that will evoke more inspiration, more ideas, and bigger dreams.
I was even thinking, we have the gold, and
Yeah.
in Master Yune's we have the gold, but we also have the silver, as you have explained. And this time, for the first time, there's the silver.
The silver, everything matches. Yeah.
Everything perfectly matches.
Everything matches. So it's amazing. For sure, this table will be around because I think this table can withstand a little bit of. But this incense burner, this sensor,
Has to go back
you have to keep
the
it
safe.
somewhere. Yeah, because too delicate. Too afraid that it's porcelain after all, right? It's porcelain after all, and you won't be used to doing the incense in this way. But I'm just showing you that it's a real art. Okay, the equipments I have here, they are not a complete set.
Therefore, koro, which is the name of, in Japanese, of the censer or incense burner, and kodo is the art that you've actually showed us.
Partly, yeah, partly.
Well, can I say, I'm blown away.
Wait, I think we will want to come back to this incense burner again, because
Yes.
you mentioned the arts of incense, which I think Japan has a huge history about it, and they will link to many of our collections here. That would we don't have much chance to talk about it in our day-to-day work, but it's something that we want to know, that how they inherited from Chinese, and then how they systemized it, and how has it evolved till today. I think when we have the chance, we have to come back to this thing again, and then I can perfect my skills, my xiangdao skills, and I show off with more. I'm going to bring more equipments to make sure that this deserves the justice that it does.
And how appealing is also the jade color.
Oh yes, yeah. You mentioned about jade color. Since you mentioned about it, they were taking a photo of this jade, and we said, "Hey, wait, this piece of exquisite jadeite, extremely excellent piece in terms of quality. It's the highest quality of a dragon anyway. Quite close to the color.
Yes.
Quite close, as you can see. Yeah, great match.
Beautiful.
So many different senses coming together at once in this episode, and you know,
Overwhelmed.
they will all exist in Master Yune's art and painting, all of them. So last week, one of the paintings that was behind us got chosen. Hopefully, one of you will pick one of these paintings. Behind me is the Gown of Prosperity, as you always should have, and behind dear Mr. Pino is the Strokes of Romance, which I mentioned if you look closer or look further away, it kind of feels like a Christmas tree with two pink sash, like a sash around the Christmas tree. Season for celebration. You don't have to wait until Christmas for it to be Christmas. If you bring this back, it's always romance, it's always celebration for you. All year round, Christmas. Imagine that.
And I mean, people should buy them both because, again, it's such a beautiful pair, very different, but still with the same theme.
Yes. All right, so do come by the gallery to experience all these wonderful things, especially Master Yun's painting and this red table we talked about today, Qing Dynasty, object of an artifact of artistic creativity. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
I see you having the sake then.
It's fantastic.